I watch the gay hockey show.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Yes, consider me influenced by Twitter, by Tumblr, by my friend Zoha, and by my coworkers Michael and Olivia. I don't know where I'd be without you. Probably one hyperfixation poorer, but it turns out that this show is exactly what I needed in the aftermath of the incredibly disappointing Stranger Things finale. I also have no earthly idea how to talk about this show without going into details, so I won't do that. And I will just say that now, moving forward, everything is on the table for what happens in Heated Rivalry Season 1. Just throwing that out there. And also, why would you be here if you hadn't already seen the show? I mean, let's gab, let's gush. Now that that's out of the way,
let's ride.
Watching the progression of the nearly decade-long situationship turned legitimate romance between Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov has been such an unexpected delight, both for the characters and for me as an unassuming audience member. Their romance starts before the summer before their rookie season, the season in which Ilya is the first-round draft pick, and Shane wins Rookie of the Year, all the way through like present day for the show, which is 2017. Love that it's like a not too distant period piece. That's really fun. And you just get to watch these two men fall in love in secrecy due to the nature of their careers as professional hockey players and just the cultural expectations that are forced upon them. And it is really one of the most engrossing and honest portrayals of modern love I've seen in quite some time. It's sexy! That's one thing that I was prepared for before starting the show, is that I knew that the boys would be hot, and they would be getting up into business that was also hot. I've seen challengers, okay? I know ball. But I didn't expect this show to work me up emotionally as well. I found a moment in every episode that made me cry. From something as small in the first episode as Ilya being disappointed that they weren't going to be able to fly into Montreal, all the way through the finale episode, which was, bereft of moments that would make you cry. And not to mention, this show is filmed spectacularly. I mean, from the moment the commercial scene started in the first episode, and the sweetness of Shane and Ilya not being able to get shot off because they were too busy giggling, and just like the beautiful lighting that they had in that scene, I knew I was in for some absolute cinema. Shout out to Rachel Reed, who wrote the books that this incredible season of TV is based on. I've never read any of them. Maybe once the publisher is able to meet the demand and print more copies of the books, maybe I'll pick one up. But I am going to be talking about this season of television specifically, and all the work that went into that. But I wanted to make a point not to minimize the world that, she created. It wouldn't exist without her. So thank you, Mother. The story and the world that Rachel has created is incredibly compelling. But I really don't think that this season of television could have taken off if it weren't for the two leads, who are so incredibly electric in both their chemistry together and their individual on-camera presence. Yes, writer, director, Canadian legend Jacob Tierney, and the casting directors, let me find their names again, Jenny Lewis and Sarah Kay, found two fresh and very handsome faces in the form of Hudson Williams and Connor Storrie, literally a young Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, respectively. These actors, they sell the world and the romance and the hockey physicality and the sold out merch on the Heated Rivalry website. I'm still waiting for a restock so I can get my Montreal Metros jersey in a size large, thank you. Both of these actors are stupidly talented and they get to show off their skills in very distinct ways. Hudson Williams, I was not familiar with your game. His performance as Shane is truly a sight to behold, and it's filled to the brim with subtle choices that cultivates in a really unique portrayal of an athlete who is both closeted and on the spectrum. Can't say that's something that I've seen before. He talks in interviews about how he has studied the original text, and you can tell in his performance that a lot of time and consideration has been spent making Shane feel as authentic and as tangible as possible. In every episode, there's a moment of his that just like blows me away with how thoughtful he is in his performance. Like, wow, he did his homework. He put the work in, and he easily could have written off the material as some smutty pulp, but he didn't. He respected the material and he respected his audience. And the same can be said for Connor Storrie. I've seen a lot of people describe Ilya as a character and then Connor Storrie's performance as the flashier role in comparison to Shane. But I don't believe that they mean to diminish his talent when they say that. Because what is asked of him in this show is an absolute feat. I mean, what do you mean that's not his accent? You know, like, what do you mean he's from Texas? You know? The turnaround on him getting the role and filming beginning, I think they said was like 2 weeks, maybe less. And him and his dialect coach whipped up this incredibly convincing Russian accent, both in Russian and English speaking, that I've ever heard. As if I'm an expert. As if I'm the one they need to be impressing with the Russian accent. But I really cannot express how much I appreciate the work that he put into this show. Like the phone call scene, I believe in episode 5, when he is back in Russia for his father's funeral, and he's on the phone with Shane, and he's speaking in Russian because that's the only way he knows how to express his feelings, both literally and figuratively. And it's so beautiful and stunning and isolating, and there's just like this lump in his throat that you can hear, and it's, oh god, it's too good. And just when you think you're like, wow, like Connor Storrie is the star of the season, we cut back to Hudson Williams, and he is just so precious and hanging on to every single word that he's saying as if he can understand it. Oh, get the hell out of here. It's so good. It's so touching. I was sobbing. Good stuff. both are incredible. I already knew that these guys were like, ones to watch once I finished the first season. But then I started watching cast interviews, and it really struck me how distinct that these guys are from their characters. Like, the accents, obviously, mannerisms, the eloquence of which they discuss their craft. Just wow. I'm not the first one, and I'm far from the last to say this, but I feel that their careers are about to take off in a big way. I'm recording this the day after the Golden Globes, and they literally were there, and they presented a whole ass category, walking out to Pink Pony Club. I mean, hey now. This is what dreams are made of. I'm so excited to see what these guys work on outside of Heated Rivalry. And it's just so exciting. I talk about this with my coworker Olivia quite a bit. Unknown actors arrive on the scene with so much talent and clear work ethic. I feel like you really don't see it that often, or as often as I would like. The most recent person that I can think of, off the top of my head, is an Iowa Debery. But even so, she seems so distinct and kind of in her own league compared to these guys. But I definitely see them I don't know, getting into the big leagues and getting into these conversations with people like Jacob Tierney or, Paul Mescal. And it's very exciting to witness, I'll watch. Okay, let me address the elephant in the room. The intimacy that they engage in this show is, well, It's intimate, all right. Okay, I can't talk about the gay hockey smut show without talking about the sex, right? And I think that this relationship from a sexual perspective is incredibly believable. All right, let me lay it all out there. Let it be known that I have never been a closeted man. So there's layers to this that I just can't speak to, okay? But I can sure try. However, in this modern dating landscape that we live in, the depiction of a physical romance before an emotional connection is incredibly accurate and unfortunately quite common. I once had a man who I was seeing, more so he was trying to see me, who said that having sex on the first date is the new kissing on the first date. I don't know about all that. I do not know about all that. That sounds like a tactic more than a statistic, you know what I mean? But with the advent of dating apps like Tinder and the like, it's certainly more common for relationships to begin on a more physical level before you learn, you know, each other's middle names or the fact that your dad reads the New Yorker, stuff like that. It's very believable that these two characters would have such a physical relationship before they were able to broach emotional topics. I'm not a prude, okay? I think that people can and should nuance, okay, have casual sex, but I'm not sure that everyone is necessarily built for it, which leads us to stories about complex dynamics like these. I mean, look at Shane, for crying out loud. He is clearly not built for this, you know what I mean? And I think that there's this expectation when you're having casual sex that you have to be nonchalant about the whole thing and you have to be the most smoothest, most detached version of yourself in order to, I don't know, impress the other person, like impress the ever-present non-existent spectator. The jury's still out on why we treat people the way that we do, but nevertheless, it makes the story feel that much more believable because of real-world dynamics like these. Even with Scott and Kip, while their love story is far more condensed just due to the nature of how the story was adapted, and their timeline is just far shorter than Shane and Ilya's, I am just as invested in their love story as I am in the main one. I was about 10 minutes into their episode 3, and I was like, this love story's got a little kick to it. I wonder if this is its own book in the series, and lo and behold, it's the first one. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. God, I just love their love story so much. Their communication style is so much more my speed than the main relationship of the show. And it was really refreshing to see. I mean, the scene the morning after their first hookup when Kip is making the smoothie in the kitchen and Scott extends that incredibly vulnerable offer / request for Kip to be there when he gets home from practice and then even later when he gets home from the game. And the way Kip accepts, I swoon. It's so sweet, it's so tender, and they're so domestic. I was fine, you know, with their story not being wrapped up in the end of episode 3, and I'm very, very grateful that they showed us within this season how it wrapped up in the end of episode 5. It was very lovely. And the two actors who play Kip and Scott are incredible. They have incredible chemistry and probably could have carried a whole season of TV on their backs. I really, really, really hope we see them again in the next season. Other characters I would like to see again in season 2 are my ladies, Svetlana, Elena, and Rose. Truth be told, I was quite nervous about the characterization of these women when the show started, I will not lie. In a show centered around gay men, I didn't expect these characters to be written as full-fledged women and well-rounded individuals, and maybe Maybe if I was so afraid of that, I need to address my inherent biases. But that's another story. That's another conversation for another day. They all just contributed so much to their specific storylines, and I just find them, I don't know, fascinating. And I really did not expect to like Rose at all until I saw she was played by Shauna Shipman. I'm crazy. And I'm glad that the Shane and Rose relationship was as short as it was, just because I didn't want to see Shane suffer, and I didn't want to see Ilya being heartbroken about Shane. I will say that I do love how he was as invested in her career as she was in his, and just like they were very supportive in their short-lived relationship. I've seen people reference her moment at the game of like repping his jersey as like a Travis Taylor moment. No. It's giving Josh and Haley, much more likable and down to earth. And that's all I have to say. What I love about this show, and maybe I should read more romance novels if this is common and a trend, is that there's not more conflict than there needs to be. Shane and Ilya are professional athletes, division rivals, and bottom line, men who are having an affair. That's it. That's the conflict. One thing that Joanna Robinson and Richard Lawson bring up in the Ringer's Prestige TV podcast when they covered Heated Rivalry is the alternate reality, like worse version of this show. And I'm so glad that they were able to put this sensation that I was having into words. As I was watching this show, there would be this dread that would overcome me, and then a subsequent relief that the show didn't go in the way that I thought it was going. Like, we live in a world where homophobia exists, okay? Like, Alexei has some colorful language that he directs at Ilya. Scott Hunter talks about slurs being used by other players in his MVP speech. And, you know, Russia. Everything that, you know, that guy from Team America has to say at the Sochi Olympics. But there's a worse version of this show where there's like a dedicated through line plot or character that revolves around, you know, exhibiting this homophobia, like as if we don't already know it's there. I think in the Prestige TV podcast, they reference like maybe like a hard ass coach, or my thought was maybe like that one recurring Raiders player who's like big and scary, or even like Shane's parents at the end of the season. Like, there were so many opportunities that I think in a lesser show, like they would have dedicated time for that being the conflict, when really it's a more like internal battle and ultimate acceptance of who they are as people, like individuals, and then who they are to each other. Like, that's the show that I'm watching. That's what I care about. That's what I'm here for. Shane and Ilya aside, in episode 3, Scott and Kip's episode, when being in public in the gallery becomes too much for Scott, I was so worried that after he stormed off that they would have a big fight and Scott would denounce his queerness, and, you know, Kip wouldn't come at it from a place of understanding, and he would call him, you know, unfair and childish, and that's how they would like break up, because like you have to, because your gays can't be happy. But instead, what surprised me was that Scott is forthright and vulnerable, and Kip understands and listens to his struggle, and he allows him so much grace and compassion in that moment. And that is what we want to see. Not these characters' queerness being the source of what makes them at odds. Do you know what I mean? Like, stay with me. There's a world in which the season ends on a cliffhanger with, you know, Shane's dad still, you know, walking in on Ilya and Shane, macking and grabbing ass, and, you know, Shane takes off and talks to his dad without Ilya, and he pushes everything down and he ends the relationship, and he's like, no, you know, I have to be heteronormative and blah blah blah, and like, this is too scary and you're scaring me and blah blah blah. And then season 2 picks up with, like, you know, a continuation of the will they won't they. But this show doesn't do that. This show isn't greedy. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Rachel, for allowing this audience to enjoy a fully contained story that ends happily. We don't know what is quite on the horizon for these two characters as of yet. I mean, there is some fear, clearly. Shane quite literally shuts down while having dinner with Ilya and his parents. But already you see him and Ilya working together as a unit, as a couple, to navigate these fears, starting with, you know, facing Shane's parents head on, and they ultimately accept them. And I just think that's so beautiful. And, you know, these two just get to ride back to the cottage in the golden Canadian sunshine, and I sobbed. I sobbed through the whole credits, watching their car ride back home. Like, wow, like, love and happiness can truly be that easy. As a chronic and sometimes debilitating worrier myself, the ending of the first season of Heated Rivalry left me with so much joy, as a reminder that you don't have to have all the pieces together, you don't have to have everything figured out, but you can still, you know, enjoy your time with the person that you love. Really, really, really incredible stuff. And all I can say is that Crave has made a fan out of this little American. And I can't wait for season 2. I didn't mean for this review to be so analytical and academic, but even though I managed to drain all the sex appeal out of this show with what I said, I'm glad I said it. There. But yeah, this has been Antiseptic, and thank you for watching.